Hey lovelies! Welcome to my very first completed Valley tour. With over 1,700 hours of gameplay, I finally managed to wrap up the Valley just in time for the Tales of Agrabah update coming tomorrow. Plus, today is my birthday, so what better way to celebrate than to hang out with you all today. And I've got a special announcement for you all, so make sure you stick around to the end of the video, because if you've been enjoying my tours, I promise you won't want to miss this. So, to kick things off, let's just head down to the plaza and get started. If you've watched my Botanical Plaza video, you'll know that this is actually the third iteration of this space. Every time I built it out, I ended up tearing it down just after a week. But once I decided to remove the big old buildings and focus on just creating a botanical garden vibe full of trees, foliage and cozy seating, it quickly became one of the prettiest spots in my valley. And in this corner of the plaza, we have the French bakery. It has some simple seating out the front, and I also did a full interior build, but since I want to keep this tour moving, we won't be visiting it today. But if you'd like to see that, or any other area in my valley in more detail, I'll have the individual tour links in the description below for you. And in this back corner is the flower shop. When this house skin came to the premium shop, I knew it would be the perfect addition to my plaza. This has also been fully decorated inside, which you can see in my Botanical Plaza tour video on the channel. Now here is the aerial view of the space, just in case you'd like to replicate it in your valley for yourself. Next up, the Sunlit Plateau. Now I'm going to admit, this biome had me stumped for weeks. When the floating islands came along, I knew I'd be moving the Lion King family up there for a massive jungle build. So I was at a loss for a while. But once I started building up this courtyard area, I knew I just had to move Mulan and Mushu here. And this view right here, this one, is now one of my favorites in the whole valley. okay. Thanks, I guess. Wow. Okay, where were we? Right. Over on this side, we've got Mulan's Shadow Puppet Theatre. And I left the walls open behind it because I know the villagers just love hanging out up here. And over on this side, we've got Mushu's Dragon Shrine statue, along with some of the waterfall walls from the Lion King collection. As we move out this way, you'll see Mulan's tea table, which has the most incredible view of the waterfall near the mine. The teleportation well is also tucked back here in the corner, making it easy access for me for both sides of the biome. Now we'll head back through the courtyard so we can head over the bridge to the other side. On this side of the plateau is Mirabelle. Her house is so big, and this side of the biome is just so weirdly shaped due to the pond in the centre, and I knew I wouldn't have a lot of room to go crazy with a lot of outdoor decor. So I just decided to line the edges of the space with all the jungle tree clusters from Eternity Isle and create little pockets of visual interest to break it all up. Now let's head back through and check out the elephant graveyard. When I recorded Mulan's tour, this area wasn't done. As you can see, it's really not much here. I kept it really simple with the magnolia walls and the waterfalls, really just to hide the bones. And right now, all I've got is a crafting table, a storage chest, and the ancient vacuum in here for convenience. Next time, I'm going to try and be a little bit more creative with the space. And now, here's the aerial view for you, just in case you want to replicate this in your valley. Now, we're in the Forgotten Lands. Now this biome was also pretty tricky. After a few failed attempts, I decided to embrace the naturally eerie vibe and create a dark, overgrown forest. Now my item cap was already looking pretty dismal when I started working up here, but I was determined to make it work. Now I knew really early on that Jack and Sally would be staying in this biome, but it was actually the addition of Hades that really brought the space to life. The blue glow from his house just looks so amazing at night. You might actually be surprised to know that Jack's pumpkin patch actually came as an afterthought. I had this really oddly shaped strip here at the back of the biome and I couldn't figure out what the heck to do with it. I tried out a few houses, but nothing was working for me. Then I realised, why not give the Pumpkin King his very own patch so he can carve up all his pumpkins in time for Halloween? Sometimes things just come together unexpectedly. And here's the aerial view. Now it is a bit tree heavy, so it's a bit of a challenge to see the whole layout, but I think you get the gist. Next, we're heading down to the peaceful meadow. Now this is where I moved all those big buildings that used to be in the plaza. This space is definitely large enough, but I just had to figure out the perfect layout. So I started with this town centre, complete with the Corona fountain, some seating, and then just created the pathways out from there. The meadow itself was designed to feel more like an extension of the plaza, instead of being its own distinct biome. So in order to do that, I used all the same trees, foliage and path so the transition flowed through both spaces seamlessly. Over here on the left side of the meadow is where I set up a courtyard for Remy's house and restaurant, complete with his wrought iron statue and some cosy seating. And this is my house. This area is also really oddly shaped due to the pond back here. So I decided just to make it a very lush and overgrown yard space and run this path along the back so I could still access the pond for fishing. Unfortunately, my house is pretty much just an empty shell. One day I'll get around to making it pretty. Now let's head over to the other side, shall we? And here we have a very pretty view of the shops from across the other side of the pond. I can tell you how happy I was when I saw these swan boats show up in the premium shop recently. Swan boats, pink magnolia trees and the Bayou fireflies are just a recipe for instant gorgeousness. As we move to the back of the meadow, we pass Goofy's stall and arrive at the corner where I placed the Monsters Inc. apartment, Scrooge's shop and Daisy's boutique. Now they all actually fit surprisingly well here. And there was even enough room to create little garden areas at the front, and I was still able to lay down a wide enough path too. Now you may have noticed most of my paths around the valley are actually pretty wide. That's because I learnt really early on in the game that characters like Maui like to stop in the worst possible places. And there is nothing that I dislike more than getting stuck behind him, or Gaston for that matter, when they decide it's time to put on a muscle show. Welcome to the Glade of Trust. Now when designing this area, I knew I wanted to break down the biome into 4 zones. 1, the Haunted Mansion and a courtyard. 2, the Bayou. 3, Tiana Street. And 4, Tiana's Palace. Now breaking the glade up into 4 areas allowed me to create unique vibes that reflected each of their spaces. The courtyard around the mansion feels very manicured. The Bayou is overgrown and wild. Tiana Street feels very suburban. And the palace feels very elegant and upmarket. When creating the bayou, I knew it had to feel as swampy as possible. So this little corner just felt like the perfect place to make it happen. I squeezed in as much foliage as I possibly could and kept the actual decor to a minimum. I just added a few items here in front of this gorgeous bayou house to give it some extra personality. Tiana Street is also a small area. I enclosed the space in at each end with a couple of park entry buildings to act like tunnels for the train. I also placed Lady Tremaine's house in here beside Tiana in order for the space to feel more like an actual street. The park entry here also allows me to pass through so I can access the fishing spot and the mining node easily. Hey Ursula. Yes, it is my birthday. No, I don't have a gift for you. That's not really how birthdays work. Is Flynn breaking the fourth wall? Seriously, is it just me or are these villagers going rogue? Now back to the tour. Now Tiana's palace was actually a tricky building to place. Now if like me, you probably struggled finding it a home. I was actually really surprised that it fit here at the base of the entry to the glade as well as it did. Now there's not a huge amount of space, but it was definitely enough to be able to build a cute little outdoor dining space around the pond and still have enough room to move around to access all the mining nodes and the fishing spots. And again, here's the aerial view for you, just in case you might want to replicate it for your valley. Next up, Dazzle Beach. Now this build was actually one of the biggest surprises to me. I went into this not having any idea what I wanted to do. I just started pulling out items from my inventory and just started playing. I'd only just picked up the magnolia walls from the premium shop a few days before I started working on it. And at this stage, I really just wanted to use them in any build I possibly could. So I thought I'd test them out here on the beach. And as soon as I started creating that wall behind the fountain, I knew I was onto something. And before long, this side of the beach was actually done. This side of the biome feels more like a secluded tropical hideaway rather than the tropical resort vibe I created on the other side. This tea shop is so bright and colourful, and it quickly became the focal point of this build. And this view right here is also one of my favourite views in the whole valley. The sightlines here have me wanting to book myself a tropical getaway stat. Between you and me, Skull Rock Beach was another afterthought. This layout actually happened because I'd forgotten to place the well into the build on the main beach. So it just ended up here. I just tried to make it look cute, and I just hoped for the best. Back on the main beach, we have Stitch's house, living his best furry blue alien life surrounded by surfboards, a hammock, his amp, and of course, a big old slice of coconut cake. And behind Stitch's house, we have a small beachside market. If you would like to see this in more detail, you can actually check out the tour. I'll have the link posted in the description below. Now here's the aerial view of the beach, just in case you might want to replicate any part of it for yourself. Valor was one of my more recent builds. One side of the biome came out of necessity, while the other side started as a Discord community build challenge for Valentine's Day. Over on this side of the forest is the orchard that I'd built out of necessity. I was getting really close to filling up all my biomes, but I still had lots of trees and bushes that just didn't have a home. So I built one. Considering that this was one of those afterthought builds, I think it actually came out pretty cute. And on this side of the river is my Springcore village. Now this village actually began with Beast Castle and the romantic picnic spot that I created for him and Belle in our Discord community challenge for Valentine's Day. Now I love this so much that I actually just ended up turning it into a whole village. Now I didn't get as far as decorating any of the interiors up here, but let me know in the comments if you would like to see me attempt more interior builds on the channel. I'd totally be down for doing a few if you were interested in seeing that. Again, I'm just skimming through most of these biomes pretty quickly, but you can find all the individual tours on all these builds on my channel, so that way you can go back and reference them at a later time. Area view. Again, a lot of trees. So I am sorry, it is a little tricky to see everything. And finally, we have the Frosted Heights. This is my most recent build. You might be thinking, it looks a little familiar, Peach. Well, that would be because it is. I actually recreated the whimsical winter wonderland I had created originally on my floating island, but on a smaller scale. It's still full of whimsy and winter magic, just a little cozier. Hey, Sally. A gym? I'm sorry, I can't help you. I'm allergic to those. Now, Merlin also has a little spot up here in the Heights, along with a little outdoor library so he can catch up on some light reading. As you can see here, I also made sure to leave enough room around the biome so I can access all the mining nodes and the fishing spots. Now on this side of the river would have to be my favourite part of this whole build. The walk up to the Arendelle Castle is just so pretty, and the pops of pink and lilac complement all the blue tones so well. Now I used this gorgeous flower rug from the Isabella Garden Room bundle under the winter crystal fountain from the previous Frost and Fairy Star Path, along with the winter crystal lampposts you can see dotted around the biome. And to the right we have Goofy's Stall, and to the left we have Kristoff's. And here's the final aerial view. And that's it, guys. My fully completed valley with over 1,700 hours of gameplay. I can't believe I managed to finish it just in time for my birthday and the Aladdin update. Now, I had so much fun, not only building out all the biomes, but also sharing it with you all along the way. Now, if you have enjoyed these tours, then you might enjoy this special announcement I have for you too. As of just a couple of minutes ago, I posted the multiplayer code in my Discord. That's right, I have opened up my valley so you can come and visit it for yourself. Now the valley will be open till 8 PM AEST tonight. That's Australian Eastern Standard Time. The link to join the Discord is in the description below, so come on in and join me. I look forward to meeting you all. Now with that out of the way, I'm off to enjoy a big old slice of birthday cake. Thanks again for spending this very special day with me. I hope you had as much fun as I did, and I'm going to see you all again very soon. But until then, happy building. Bye!